Welcome to QLO Time Qs, a podcast powered by Quick Loans Online that helps you with your financial and professional journey in 5 fast questions. We know that you're always busy during the day, and we're here to sum up all you need to know to accelerate your career growth and money mindset. Personal finances might be a daunting concept for some, but we're here to make sure you can save up for yourself. Hi everyone, it's me again, Margo Malley, today's QLO podcast host. We're going to talk about how to show some self-love by providing more insight on how to secure your personal finances. And our guest for today is someone who's been helping people from all walks of life to do just that. It is our honor to introduce to you all Mr. Ferdinand Nanjo Berba. Nanjo, as many of his family, friends, and colleagues call him, has more than 30 years of experience in the financial industry. He became the chairman of Philam Asset Management Incorporated and held very senior roles in the Philam Group as president and Philam Group training director. Let us give him a warm welcome. Good day, Mr. Nanjo. Thank you for accepting our invitation to be our guest speaker.
Magandang araw. Good day sa lahat.
Many of us were caught by surprise by this pandemic. On and off lockdowns, rising cases, new COVID variants, it's like a never-ending cycle and affects so many aspects of our lives. For the first question, in your opinion, Mr. Nanjo, how do you think the pandemic affected people's personal finances?
When you talk about the pandemic, of course, aside from the fact that when you think about it, you think about people who got sick, your friends who got sick, and people who passed away. Pero when you really talk about the pandemic, siguro the word that comes mostly to our mind are lockdowns. And when you think about lockdowns, ang nangyari because of the lockdowns, you have businesses either closing or slowing down. And because of that, you have people who lost a lot of jobs. You have people who lost income because businesses have slowed down. You have a lot of people also who couldn't find jobs at this particular point in time. So ang nangyari because of all of that, you have some people, maybe the more fortunate ones, who have savings, had to now dip into this savings that I've had for quite some time in order to be able to go through the crisis. It's been already more than 2 years since it all happened. And then there are some people that did not have any savings. So therefore, napilitan umutang. At hindi lang umutang. And I think many people not only loaned money, but loaned at very, very, very bad terms. Ang ibig sabihin nun, mataas talagang interest rates. At wala silang choice because they have nothing. They didn't have any savings to dip from. But the sad part about some, and you will see that in some TV news before, is you see people had to go out and beg. And so really, when you really talk about the pandemic, aside from all the people who got sick, aside from some people that may have passed away, the common hit sa atin, na ramdam natin, is na apektuhan lahat ang pera na kinikita natin. It's either we didn't make as much or we did not make at all. And that's really what's happened. And you know, the biggest lessons for all of us, and I think many people today, when you talk about the pandemic, they will tell you na ayaw nilang ulit yun. Because the biggest lesson for all of us is that we were not prepared for situations like this.
We would all agree with that. I believe we all had our fair share of financial problems during the pandemic, and we all know that it wasn't easy because some lost their jobs and businesses closed, especially SMEs. For the next question, since we know how the pandemic greatly affected people's personal finances, do you mind sharing some tips on how one can manage and improve his personal finances amidst still being in this pandemic?
Well, I guess before we talk about that, let's talk about itong word siguro na naririnig natin na madalas, yung tinatawag na financial wellness or financial freedom, because that's all related to each other. Ano ba talaga yun? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng financial wellness or freedom? Ang ibig sabihin nun is may pera tayo and we can do what we want at wala tayong utang. How many of us can say that at a certain point in time, wala tayong utang at saka I can do what I want? Not many. But is that really something that's possible? Yes, I know that's possible. I know from experience that's possible. And there's only really one secret to make sure you will be financially well, and no matter whether there is a pandemic or no pandemic. Kasi remember, ang ulan sa buhay natin ay nawawala at dumadating. So, it is a cycle. One crisis will end, but surely there will be other crises in the future. And we want to make sure that we're all prepared for it. So, what's really the best way to do that? And the best way is to be able to turn your salary into income. It doesn't matter how much you make, sa totoo lang. Because when you read all those business tycoons who are very successful, for example, si Henry C., I'm sure alam natin yan, si SM. When you talk about John Gokongwei, si Robinsons, sila yung may-ari ng Cebu Pacific. And when you talk about Lucio Tan, we all know that their stories all started from very humble beginnings. And if there's one thing that they will share with you, or all of them will say and have in common, is nag-umpisa sila sa pag-iipon. From their little income, they were able to save consistently and turn that into more income. So the key for us, so that we will not get into the same situation, is to be able to say, whatever income I have, no matter how big or small, is every time I get my payday, my paycheck, I will subtract my income minus whatever I'm going to save. Then whatever is left is to spend. Kasi ang normal is income, gastos, kung meron matira, yun yung ipon, which usually does not happen. So the secret is, when you receive your paycheck on the every payday, bawasan ang pang-ipon bago gumastos. Income minus savings is equal to expense. So that every payday, every time you have income, meron kang ipon. And you will see from something that is little, it will turn into something that's bigger and bigger and bigger. So ang tawag dyan is, mahalin muna natin ang sarili natin. Love yourself first by paying yourself first, instead of paying others by spending and spending and spending. So the word is save, save, save. That's the way to turn things around and have more income as the years go by. Yun lang ang sikreto. Yun lang ang sikreto na kailangan natin malaman.
Thank you for that, Mr. Nanjo. This is something that all of us can truly learn from. To those who needed guidance and tips, hope this was helpful and informative. personal saving rate is the biggest factor in building financial security and wellness. Although some studies have shown that the earnings of many Filipino employees and families are just enough for their basic and daily needs. Hence, we see different loan products being offered by various financial institutions, which lead to these questions. For the third question, as a financial expert, is taking up a loan a good financial decision? And can loans improve or deter someone from attaining financial wellness and peace of mind?
When you talk about crisis, as I said earlier, it will go, but it will come back. Meaning, sa buhay natin, there's always going to be some form of crisis that will happen. So therefore, we always need to be prepared. And no matter how much you're preparing for it, even if you've already started to save, there will be instances where you will need immediate cash. For example, the best example are medical emergencies. Hindi naman natin maprepredict kung kailan meron magkakasakit. And today, you know how expensive it is to get sick, especially if you get hospitalized. And if you do not work, or even if you're working for a company, while many companies have health benefits, not all companies provide for that, or not all health benefits are enough. And so therefore, there will be situations like that where you need to augment what you have. So maybe your savings is not enough, so you need to borrow. So that's okay. The other thing is, for example, again, the other thing you cannot predict is when a loved one will go. It's a very sad event, but it is an event that has big financial implications. And again, even if you're saving, sometimes that's not enough. And even if you have, maybe sometimes you just don't want to touch it. And so there will be cases like that where you will want to take out a loan. So there will be times like that where you would want to do that. And in those cases, then it is a good decision to take out a loan. And there will be, of course, many instances na hindi dapat mag-loan. So for anything you just want, bili ka lang ng bili. For example, gas-gas ng credit cards. Credit cards are simply another way of saying umuutang ka. So kung puro utang ka lang ng utang, then that's not good. That will affect your financial wellness. Now, if you had to take out a loan so that it is positive, so that it is okay, then you also have to be selective in the manner in which you will take up a loan or from who you will take out a loan. There are good companies that give out good personal loans. Why do I say good personal loans? What you want your loan to be is it's flexible, di ba? And it's very versatile. That means you can use it for whatever you need to use it. Kasi merong ibang nagpapautang para lang for specific purposes. What you'd like to be able to do is be able to loan from somebody or a company that has a good reputation, for example, who's authorized by your company like QLO, who will provide loans that are flexible. You can use it for whatever it is that you want. Second, you'd like to have loans that have reasonable interest rates. Hindi loan shark. When I say reasonable, it's either the same as your normal credit cards or lower. Anything higher than that is already not good for you. And the other thing is you'd like your loan to be process very quickly kasi emergency, kailangan mo ng pera ngayon eh. So, you would like your loan to be approved quickly and walang collateral. Yun yung magandang personal loan. So, you have companies that are authorized to do that. QLO is one.
Thank you for sharing that to us, Mr. Nanjo. It's good to know the advantages of taking up a loan. However, some people believe that taking up a loan will just put you in an inescapable situation, like having more debts that can't be repaid because of growing interest rates. If you're thinking of taking up a loan, it's really important that you know what you need it for, and that if it's something that will help you in the long run. Also, dealing with a legitimate lending company can help you lessen those worries. Before we wrap up, we have one last question for you, Mr. Nanjo. Are these tips only applicable in times of the pandemic or crisis?
The tips I shared with you are universal. Kasi ang crisis hindi lang naman pandemic. There are many other types of crisis. Personal loans are a good way to help you through that crisis. So use it wisely. Use it well. Use it during emergencies. Avoid touching the savings that you have every month. It is important for you, if you want to have a good life later on, is not to forget every payday I set aside 30% or 30 centavos for every peso that I make every payday. Then you're well on your way to being financially well. Using personal loans during crisis, using it well, using it through companies that have good reputations, companies that are authorized by your companies like QLO, then you will surely always be at a good place. Let me summarize our sharing for today. Wellness, freedom, yung walang utang, na magkaroon ng pera, more than enough than what you need, is something that all of us can have. Whether we have the pandemic or the pandemic's over, if you follow all these tips I've shared with you today, then you're well on your way to become financially well. And please remember some of these 3 very important things you need to be able to do consistently. Number 1 is ipon. Income minus savings equals spending money. Save 30% of your income every payday so that you are going to be able to grow it. And every time you keep saving, then the next habit that you have to be able to do consistently is to invest it and invest it and invest it and make it grow. Do this regularly, then you're going to be okay. And of course, crisis will happen, whether the pandemic is there or whether the pandemic's over, and you will have other crises that will happen to you. The best way to deal with crisis in case you need money is now to look at what you have been able to save. Now, if you do not wish to touch your savings, or if your savings are not enough, then you have what is known as personal loans that can help you through these emergencies. And always only borrow what you can afford to pay. And do not pay beyond 1 year. Pay it off as soon as possible so that you're always on track to invest, and grow your money. So take advantages of the pros that personal loans can help you with during the crisis. Take advantage of companies that have good reputations like QLO who can help you out during this period of time. But don't forget, at the end of the day, the ultimate objective, ang gusto nating mangyari ay yumaman din tayo. Na pwede rin tayong yumaman. That it is possible to do that. So again, maraming salamat for inviting me. Thank you everyone. Have a good day.
What a great conversation with Mr. Nanjo. I hope you learned as much as I enjoyed talking to our guest for today. My best takeaway is financial security and wellness matters on many levels, and these tips could help people manage their financial affairs and improve their standard of living, whether you're in a pandemic or not. It's also good to know that there are financial institutions that you can trust your financial matters with. I can't wait for you to start your journey in securing personal finances. And to wrap up our episode for today, for those who are curious about quick loans online or want to send in questions related to career and finance, just send us a message on our social media pages on Facebook at facebook.com/QLO That's QLO Philippines, and on LinkedIn, just search us using QLO or Quick Loans Online. See you guys on the next episode for more answers to your Qs.